Hello everyone, welcome back. I just did the outro, just played the games, so this is going to be the intro, smiley face. That's why all these are sorted in a weird fashion. We're going to be playing some green-white Infect. It's actually toxic. Infect was an old mechanic if you didn't know what that was. And you're kind of like an arena-only player. But we have, in terms of threats and a little bit of combo type stuff, is we have the Rot Priest. Generally talked about cards. It's generally pretty good, above average for sure at the worst case. If they remove it, starts the trade of our Infect that we want to do. It was great. We have Homestead Courage. It's kind of a 2-for-1 card. Kind of combos with this. In one of the games, you'll see it come up and be incredibly clutch. And then this Crawler, I call it a Crawler the whole time. It is also a 2-for-1. It's kind of a free block if we need it in order to stall off long enough for us to get through and get beneficial attacks. A little bit of combo here. It's not like a combo, but like a neat little trick to do. Skrelv in the Duelist. The Duelists have double strike and toxic 1. Skrelv giving your thing toxic 1, I believe. It actually will allow this to put 4 poison on your opponent so that they are just like going up incredibly quick. We have the Singer. I call it a Slinger the entire time I'm playing, but it allows us to buffer board, especially early whenever people are putting out their 1-1s or their 1-2s or their 3-2s on turn 2 or whatever. This allows us to trade up and also get through for some extra damage if we need to, and it also buffs everything. It's not a Lord, but it's an attacking Lord. So also Toxic 2 on this is really good. Bloated Contaminator kind of fits that average margin. It's never been like considered a great card or a bad card. It just kind of sits there and does what it does. Proliferates a lot. Was pretty solid today, so we enjoyed it. Sentry, kind of a Skyclave Mimic card, just a value card to kind of help control the board. Hive, to be honest, didn't get a whole lot of benefit from it. We had a chance to against Mono Red to see like a really cool thing that we were going to get to do with it, but we end up just getting smoked, so that's very cool. And then a Johnny. Johnny won us a game, would have won us a different game, but our opponent left because we were going to ult it and then cast creature. But other than that, like the counters came up super important, and probably the last game you'll be able to see that kind of a wild finish that we get to pull off. So if you want to see it, stick around. Other than that, we get to play the cool lands. We get to play the Seed Core. This is generally a 4 of in these decks, but I kind of like to play Mirrex. Been playing a lot of Troll lately, so I might be a little bit biased towards this land. But getting able to make mites if you're flooding, I like a lot, especially when you only need like 1 more poison. If you have this and a Hive going, you get to make 2 like every turn. So it's like kind of doing that. We get a Seiju as well, along with the Niganjo. That kind of might come up in one of the matches. Who knows? But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you later in the next one. And these are the hands. I haven't played this quite enough yet to know if this is a hand I can keep. I have so many 1-drops, but I'm on to play. We'll try it. I'm a little unsure. This is how you test whether they're fine or not, I suppose. Jund. Play the other thicket. We'll play out this Stinger. Stinger. Slaughter Stinger. It's okay. I'm figuring it out. Alright, and my opponent's figuring it out. This is an Atraxa deck. I'll just play this next turn and just go ahead and slam this Bloated Contaminator down. I think so. Because we can add a colorless out to Seed Core and just play this instead of having it come in at 2 loyalty. We can have it come in at 4 and get closer to ulting it. Go to combat first. Force them to make game actions now instead of when we put in a Johnny into play. For example, if we're gonna go for the 3rd here, sure. Infect anyway. Play a Seed Core and we'll get this Johnny down. Does it matter? No. Sometimes you gotta be a little bit careful with that because they'll ask you, and then you gotta make sure that you hit the 1. Do I want to put that on bottom? Yeah, we'll go ahead and put that on bottom. If it was a creature or planeswalker, it would go into our hand. We're all creatures for the most part. We have a couple of sorceries. Stomper. It can't attack, but can it block? Can't attack or block unless you have 7 more lands, and they're a little short. So it doesn't have trample, so plus here, get max information before we decide to attack. We get a Rot Priest. Join us. That's incredibly good because we're gonna get to play both of these, and then Homestead Incursion. I think that's all we need, right? Play this. We need to make sure we do this because, as you saw, it tried to tap the thicket. We need to play this down so we have 2 white mana to cast this twice, so we win the game. Game tried to make me lose, but look at that, very quick, efficient win. Got a little fortunate with some like lower end draws there, but I think for the most part, Johnny was probably going to be able to bring that home. It was already on 6. They had to remove it that turn for the most part. I mean, this is a curve. Not the most powerful cards in her deck. Unless you consider Jaw Bones to be one. These get a lot better when we have the 1 land, but right now we don't. I think it's mono black most likely. Ooh, toxic. We get to play our double striker down. And then potentially a stinger in this next turn. Do I feel comfortable enough to attack now? I think so. We might lose our duelist to a cut down or something similar. Or a -1/-1 proliferate, because of course they play that card. And nobody else plays. Yeah. I mean, fair enough, I guess. You got me. We're gonna go ahead and get 2 creatures down so we're not vulnerable to just 1 removal spell. And try to maybe save this for a 3-drop that they play. That's more important, like a Bloated Contaminator. Something similar. A Rot Priest. Missing on land, maybe. Okay, -1 proliferate. This is what we were talking about. Just like, sure. Death Touch here. I'm going to let it go through. I feel like I have a pretty good advantage here to actually force my way to getting more infected than they are to us. So we're going to remove the Rot Priest. I think it's valuable enough. And this is... Rot Priest triggers off spells. This is a creature, so it won't work that way. We'll get this in. Well, this is like 4 infects, so let's go ahead and get it in there. Again, we're trying to raise. We're at 6, so have to be very careful about how they go about these turns. This is Death Touch. I don't want them to get their Rot Priest back, so again, I'll just take the poison. Lose it anyway. They only have a Rot Priest back. A little bit of flood here. We attack out, see if they block. Could have removal, but they let us get to combat first, which is a little bit of a mistake because didn't let my slaughter creature do anything. They've had 3 of these, which is like, I guess. Farmland and Contaminator. Like guaranteed at this point, as long as we can get through this. Which we do. Okay. Old's wild. New season. Down here in the trenches. I go first. Yeah, sure. Pick it. Rot Priest. Go. Let try him. Make me a happy young lad. Don't you dare lay down arms. Don't you dare. mana efficient. It's like one of the hard ones where it's like, do I waste that to be mana efficient and try to get them to 3? Because a lot of the corrupted things work on 3. I think they all work on 3. I don't know if I know of a corrupted card that doesn't work at 3. Lay down arms, faithful absence. That's fine. Play this one. Just mono white removal? Just let me go. I think I seen Saffron Olive tweet about this. It's like some of the things like on turn 3, it's like how are we allowing like such long decision time making? But like, I mean, this is like a little bit more reasonable, but like I feel like if I waited that long, obviously on my end, I feel like my timer runs faster, so take that as you will. Could be a Vindicator deck, which is not going to be fantastic for us, for sure. Do that. Proliferate, of course. We've already exhausted 2 Rot Priests, so getting the extra Infect over. They just pass. Let's put this on Contaminator. They're shadowing Wandering Emperor for sure, so we're just gonna put a counter on this, give it vigilance for the turn. It could have Faithful Absence, I suppose. But then that allows me to attack with both my 1/1s. Pretty scot free. So this kind of protects the Contaminator all around. Okay. I'm fine with them coming in and maybe removing these, especially when I'm going to be able to make another token at the end step here. It's trample, so you can block it if you want. Still going to hit you for 4, which isn't really kind of our game plan. I'd rather than block the Contaminator, I think, because then the crawlers will get through. 3. There's the block. Here comes Emperor, no? Emperor? No. Ganjo. Okay. We're getting through. You want me to draw a card? Uh-huh. Okay, you're a 9. I'm gonna play this. Argument could have been I'm supposed to do Mirix, but I'm gonna push Johnny forward and take 3 damage apparently, because all I have is brush lines.
Why resist us?
It's a redundancy, so it kind of makes me want to take it, where it just continues to make creatures and then being 1 down, so I'll actually keep it on top, and I get another activation here, so and then I have Mirix won't be able to activate, but again, Hive coming down. Wedding Announcement not gonna be enough. Bankbuster also not gonna be enough. Okay. Damn. Alright, cool. Nice. Tony goes first. We have a lot of play, so we're gonna go ahead and keep this. But as I was saying before we panned out, I got a Rot Priest, the target deck version of the deck. We'll play our Rot Priest turn 1 then. But kind of get to actually play some fun decks, which I probably shouldn't be playing this one. This one's pretty popular in the meta right now. So I probably should be playing something else realistically. But been doing we did a little bit of traveling, went to MTG Philly. And actually went up there and talked to some people. I think I mentioned that last time, but then at Apex we had our own 1K. Is there anything that gives us a counter here? Shore up? Am I gonna lose this to a shore up? I could lose this to a shore up. I might just let it hit, but I could have lost it to a shore up potentially. But even if they had it, they should probably hold it in their hand for turns like this, especially when I play a Sentry. But I work at Apex Gaming. If in case you know, we had a $10,000 paper tournament, an invitational series that we do. So if you're interested, you can obviously always check that stuff out. I'm gonna let this through. I don't really care if they're attacking. They might have the thing that untaps it, which I think is shore up. If that's the case, I'm gonna play a Slaughter Singer to make my creatures go up in power, so it's not as easy a trade-off. They can't just get my Rot Priest down. But we did that paper tournament, which took a lot of my time, so recording has been a little bit tough for sure. I'm glad to be doing it again. Not for the lack of not wanting to, that's for sure. You trade off a crawler, crawler, which replaces itself, so it's not the worst thing in the world, and we still get 2 poison infect in case don't know. They target a thing of mine, so I guess bounce back. I'm gonna just replay it here. Bounce is a little, I get it, it's just a little bit different. Kind of accomplishes the same thing. I think we're maybe bouncing a stinger. I keep calling this a stinger. It's a stinger. Lands. Oh, no land. Very nice. So we're actually going to get able to Sentry and take this Rot Priest and alleviate about all the pressure. Kind of the reason this deck struggles so much is you kind of have to have a lot go right in the early game, and then it's impossible to lose in the late game. You kind of have to be able to get your Rot Priest down and stay there, and then kind of get to your 3 to 4 lands, kind of while protecting your thing, and then move on from there. We're gonna get in, play about 1 more, I think, and then we'll do everything else that we need to. Go first. This is kind of the same thing I was talking about earlier, where it's I don't have a lot of 1-drops and stuff in my hand, but I play a ton of 1-drops and 2-drops that I can kind of get into. And having the 3 lands along with plenty of 3-drops to play in a Johnny, so I'm gonna keep it. We're just in a lot of trouble if we just run into burn, I think. Hopefully we don't. Or my opponent won't play anything. This is the thing. It's where's, give me a timer, please. Arena's the fast-paced game. Play a forest, not reveal Mirrex or anything else we're doing. I don't quite care. We can either play Contaminator, which doesn't get cut down, it gets grabs. This does get cut down, which is kind of unfortunate. So we're gonna play the Contaminator. We'll block the underdog if we have to. Probably play Johnny the following turn after. Underdog. There's probably no attack here. Sleeper. They could attack if they want to start dashing it from the graveyard, but I doubt it. So with as many creatures as they put down, I don't know if playing a Johnny into it makes the most sense. We'll actually hold on to the Sentry and pull this underneath it later, after they've kind of pumped some mana into it to reset it. I'm playing the Contaminator now, and then just go ahead and pass. Us being on the play and on the back foot because we had kind of a slower turn. Children, not great. If I could be so nice about it. Good hive here. I think we have the mana to do it all. We can hive, attack, and Ganjo the children, hit them, infect them. Then the hive will have lifelink for the next turn. We'll lose a contaminator, if not 2. But they have to block aggressively to make us lose 2. But they also can block enough that one of them doesn't live. They're also not priced in to block at all. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14. I go to that, but then I have lifelink, so it doesn't matter. A lot of things going on here. I could have Johnny put counters on this, where they just trade straight up with Shieldred, and I get a Johnny established. They might try to trade it off. I think it's attack first. Let's just. I think getting the hive started and the point that I can get like my infect creatures lifelink or toxic creatures lifelink. They block like that. It's 4, but it still hits, so that's important. So that block's done. When Ganjo Shieldred, so we'll still get through. They could have a follow-up Shieldred. One there. And there. So we get 2. We'll double proliferate. Of course. I just missed a massive play. Oh my god. I could have just played the Ajani and ulted it. And then every time I cast a creature, they lose. But then I couldn't Ganjo the Shieldred, so it wouldn't have mattered. Okay, never mind. We didn't miss it. Just like after the combat that came into my mind. We wouldn't have been able to remove the Shieldred, so it wouldn't have been as clean as we thought it was. We have a hive to make tokens to kind of keep getting in, so their attacks have to be decent enough. They might dash their underdog. They know that their infect amount is closer to lethal than their life total. And the cool part about this deck, if you are playing the toxic version, instead of doing damage, you get to do both. Well, the toxic version allows you to do damage and put poison counter on. Although Infect is like the better applier of poison. Don't play modern if you're like an arena only player. Infect was an old mechanic. If you don't really pay that much attention to cards outside, Infect worked slightly different. Where I guess I might as well talk about the whole thing at this point. So this creature has Toxic 1 because you know they're tanking, but Toxic 1, so the maximum amount of Infect this can do, unless something else gives it another Toxic or whatever, is the max it can do is 1. Right? But an Infect creature, instead of dealing like the damage, does all of its damage in terms of Infect. So if you hit them with a 10-10 that has Infect on it, you just win the game immediately. Obliterator's really bad. Obliterator's incredibly bad. I don't know what I'm going to do about this card. I don't know if I have a way to remove it. Good Sentry, they're 3-2. Make it really weird for them to attack and then play. I don't have another land to play that. Go Bloated Contaminator. Is it supposed to be a Johnny? I can also just play this, keep it out of cut down range, and just kind of block cleanly on like an underdog. Or a powered up sleeper. They attack with the Obliterator. We're kind of setting up to make sure that they lose then. Although it's not guaranteed. Invoke Despair. Well, we're going to sack this little token. It gets our enchantment. I always forget that's an enchantment, not an artifact. Obliterator attack. That's fine with me. That allows me to attack. We can actually, well, you can't chump, but this is actually a decent chump creature because you get to put this in front of the obliterator. It'll only deal 1 damage, so I only have to sack 1 permanent. How does one do this? Do I attack with the contaminator and just get it all through? Then playing a Johnny? Or I can a Johnny minus and actually pump up some of my stuff. Could do that. Let's play this. Put this down. I said just do it, and they didn't really think it through that much more. They get vigilance, okay, so that's fine. 1, 2, submit, 1. Oh, I have to go down on one of those. I only want 1 counter there because it's big enough to get around that. Submit. Vigilance. This will also proliferate. Put another counter back on a Johnny, another Infect counter on them, and then actually make these even bigger. Which, weirdly enough, I could block the obliterator if I really wanted to. I don't know if I want to. As much as it sucks. I don't have an enchantment, so I have to block, or do I just take it? No, I kind of have to block. That evolves. I have to block. They're double checking to make sure. One. 4, 5, 6. Exactly. If I block here, I'm just done. Block here. If I block here, this actually doesn't die, so that's sack 6 things. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take the dash one, I guess. And this doesn't feel great, but it is what it is. That's like, do we keep this 4/4? Not sure. Or can I sack everything else and just leave my creatures? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Look at that. We actually were able to sack everything else, leave our creatures. I didn't even think it was going to be a possibility to do that. Because this hit this for 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then we just get to hit them for 10 because they won't have a 1-drop to play. Nice. Even if, well, I say even if they did, I'd get it, but I can't. Another time an obliterator removed all my lands, and I still won the game. Nice. Mail, more mail? I can't have more mail. I already checked it all. I gotta move my webcam. So this is gonna be the outro of the video right now. Try to make these quick. I know a lot of people like to click off these points, but other than that, if you're trying to play this deck, I'm gonna be quite honest. Never really had a chance to see Hive do that much, benefit that much. I could see it if you get to play it on turn 2. It's like your only turn 2 drop, but generally you're wanting to play everything else to kind of make it where your creatures' attacks are beneficial to you. Like this, you're playing this probably most of the time automatically to make these like trade up. I never got to play with this, which upsets me. But this card's just good. Like, it just is. It gives your things an extra thing of toxic, so you might as well do it. If you get to put this on your double striker, it applies 4 poison to your opponent. Like, this little combo here is just incredibly good. This is also fine. This gives you something to sack or like kind of play, and it reoccurs itself, so it's like a really good 1-drop. Homestead Courage is kind of cool. It won us the game originally. It's also fine to discard to some like discard outlets, so we can actually replay it. It's kind of like another 2-for-1 card in of itself. Rot Priest is good. To remove it, it starts the chain that we want to start. Contaminator normally has been like probably like on the average margin of like Nobody really knows if it's great or if it's good or if it's like horrible or if it's bad. It kind of just like does what it does. It's like a 4/4 that proliferates, so it can kind of do some cool stuff. Other times it's just like a 4/4 that puts 2 poison on them. Sentry's cool, kind of like a mimic Skyclave. It didn't come up like too much. It was pretty decent though. Like it is just decent. And a Johnny threatened lethal a lot. Like a Johnny just, the draw wasn't even that great, but in of itself, it won us the last game. It would have won us another game if they didn't concede. So like, it is what it is. And then on the last game, how it won is it put the counters on so that they would survive like decent blocks. But other than that, deck's incredibly cool. Deck's fun. It's definitely a different style. Also, like if you're an aggro deck, like their life gain doesn't matter to you that much. So again, if you enjoyed watching, as I always say, thank you. I appreciate all of you. And we'll catch you later in the next one.